Yeah, fighter jets are pretty cool. Ace Combat is a legendary series. I've never played a game in the series until about a month before making this video, but I've been aware of it since I was a kid. I always thought these games were just flight simulators about fighter jets, which is cool but not really my thing, so I mostly brushed these games off. However, recently, Ace Combat has been gaining some buzz due to all the lore memes, as Ace Combat is a series of insanely in-depth lore. So, being a huge fan of Metal Gear and batshit insane military/geopolitical fiction, I thought I would finally give these games a chance. And oh man, did I discover that these games are amazing. So much so that I decided to make this video covering the original free games for the PlayStation 1. Or at least I was, until I finished the rough draft of the script, and the rough read for Ace Combat 1 alone took 23 minutes. So I asked around and pretty much everyone agreed that shorter, multiple videos would be better than one long video. I shouldn't really complain because honestly I am swamped with game releases and real life stuff and I kinda need to get out of this and take a break. So let's get on with the review. I downloaded an emulator and acquired a copy of the first 3 games. Now don't give me any shit for using an emulator because one of these games is older than my Zoomer ass. They don't even sell these games anymore. If they want me to buy these games so badly, they should have remastered them and released them in some kind of collection. The real issue of emulation is that these games were designed to be played in 4x3 on a CRT television. When I first emulated these games, I played them in 16:9 on my HD flat screen. Now being 3D games, they looked fine in game, but the real issue comes from the UI and FMVs, which were low quality images and videos being upscaled and stretched to hell. This makes them look way more blurry and pixelated than it's supposed to. I didn't mind this so much, but I imagine for some people, watching a game like that would make their eyes bleed. So to make sure I showcase these games accurately, I've recorded them all in 4x3, slightly upscaled past 480p to try and get a little clearer image. The recording quality and YouTube compression should take care of those sharp pixels and make them blend into a nice blur. But emulation is still emulation, so there will be a few minor graphical and audio glitches. I'll try and edit around them, but a few might slip in. Ace Combat, Air Combat, was released in 1995 as a launch title for the PlayStation 1. The game was planned to be a port of the Namco arcade game of the same name that came out in arcades in Japan and the US a few years earlier. Namco was porting a lot of their arcade titles to home consoles due to the hardware finally being powerful enough and decided to include new features to entice people to buy them because I guess owning a copy of the game you don't need to go somewhere and play for a quarter a pop wasn't enticing enough. Because of the more powerful hardware and new features Namco wanted, the developers decided not to just make a straight port, but a new game in the same style. So they decided to call the game Ace Combat in Japan to differentiate the title so people wouldn't think they were buying a copy of the arcade game. However, they clearly didn't care about this in the West and released the game as Air Combat in both North America and Europe. So the game starts by explaining that a country has been taken over by a terrorist coup about 6 months prior, and to avoid escalating the war, they have hired us as mercenaries to remove their control of the airspace and attack high priority targets. I don't know how hiring mercenaries avoids escalating a war, but that isn't our job to think about. We just need to fly planes and blow up what they tell us to. Here we're shown a map of the country and can select our first mission as well as view the planes that we currently have. We have 2 planes to start, the F-4 and the F-14. We can sell planes we don't need for extra cash, and that can be used to buy planes and hire wingmen. Planes work like lives. If you crash or get shot down, you lose the plane permanently. I assume if you run out of planes, you game over and have to restart, but I'm a bit too much of a pro gamer to have that happen to record it. Oh what, you thought you were going to get an in-depth review about all the functions and mechanics of how this game works? Nope, I'm just here to flex about how good I am at these playing games and why I think they're neat. The planes have various stats. Defense is obvious, it's how tough your plane is against taking damage. Power is your top speed. More power means plane go faster. Stability is a confusing one, but I believe it's how resistant you are to stalling at low speeds and high altitudes. Offense you would think is how much damage you do, but I have never noticed a difference in the damage of missiles or machine guns. Mobility is probably the most important stat. It is how agile your plane is, meaning how quick you can make turns as well as dives and climbs. Okay, maybe we'll get a little in-depth, but don't expect too much. The F-4 is pretty well rounded, but the F-14 is faster and stronger. Mobility is low, but being able to catch up with planes and not stall so easily is more important to me. Also, it looks cooler.
This is an evaluation of your operational abilities. Intelligence reports an enemy supply unit moving to resupply their forward positions. You should have the advantage of surprise. We should have localized air superiority for the duration of the operation. Target, C5A supply unit.
So before every mission, we get a briefing explaining what our objective is and showing the planes we'll be encountering in the mission. The dialogue doesn't sync with the text, which is kind of annoying, but you can just advance the lines to help it sync up, as well as skip over the intros when you're playing a mission. This mission is pretty simple. We just have to shoot down the planes being escorted. This mission is mostly to get you to understand the controls and how to fly. It is strange that this country apparently hired a mercenary who either doesn't know how to fly or only just got their pilot's license. I respect that you don't get a clear tutorial and are just thrown into an easy mission and given no instructions on how to play. Just fiddle around with the controls, you'll figure it out. The D-pad controls the plane, as this was a launch title and the DualShock didn't exist yet, so no stick support. The X button fires a machine gun, which is only useful when you're close to an enemy plane. A marker will show up when you're close enough to indicate where your bullets will end up. The circle button fires your missiles. Once you get close enough, you will lock onto your target and can fire them, and they will track the target as best as you can. The square button brings up your map. This is important for figuring out where you are and where to go in this low draw distance fog world. The triangle button changes the lock-on target, but I was too stupid to realize this until I was almost finished recording Ace Combat 3 for the upcoming video. I played the first 3 of these games using the default lock-on and fiddling my plane a little to switch targets. However, I am not ashamed of this fact, because it grew my skill as a pilot. It was like I was playing with training weights. A helmet is like a training weight, right? The L1 and R1 buttons increase and decrease your throttle. The left of the HUD displays your speed, while the right displays your altitude. The select button switches you to third person and turns off your HUD. The controls are designed with the first person view in mind, so I stick to playing like that. The planes in this mission are pretty easy. The first 2 can't fight back and try to skirt off, but I just managed to gun them down. Then I have to deal with the fighter jets. Just maneuver behind them and fire off some missiles and they're toast. After that, the only 2 planes left can't fight back either, but I've gained some distance. So I just catch up and try to shoot them down from machine guns to flex, but aiming would fall off and using a D-pad is hard, so I just gave up and used missiles. Mission accomplished. We get a results screen and get paid for each target we destroyed with no points docked for taking any damage. Mission 2 is more of the same, more planes to shoot down. I try out one of my go-to pro strats of playing aerial chicken until I get missile lock on. Oh god, please stop, they barely grazed me. So not only does country hire a mercenary who barely knows how to fly, but also one who has schizophrenia because there are 2 voices you will hear the entire game. One is a female voice in a plane's computer that will tell you when an enemy is locked onto you, when your plane is stalling, and when you've taken damage. You will definitely know when you've taken damage. It doesn't matter how much because the alert lasts the same amount of time regardless.
Enemy in sight.
The other voice I assume is your commander telling you when you have an enemy near you, when is the ideal time to fire your missiles, and giving you positive reinforcement when you hit a target. These voices can get kinda grating after a while. Anyway, mission 2 is wrapped up nicely. So we unlock some new planes. Usually get new ones after missions. You have to buy them with the money you earned. Buying them adds into your hangar, allowing you to select them in missions. However, you have a limited number you can buy. This wasn't really an issue until late game, but you can't just buy every plane. Along with this, we unlocked the stealth plane. I didn't buy this one because we can get a better one later. I will explain stealth planes later when I use one. Mission 3 is more the same, not much to talk about here, so we'll just skip ahead. We unlocked the F-15 after that mission, which I used for the next mission. Mission 4 is a nighttime raid on a city. This is the first time we get to take out ground targets and deal with anti-air weapons. We also get access to a wingman. Wingmen are AI partners that will assist you in missions for a fee. Wingman AI, however, isn't very good. They're pretty slow at taking down enemies, making me useless for anything other than a distraction to let you focus on taking out targets. So I decided to use my go-to strategy of just bum rushing the targets. You don't even need to lock on targets to use missiles. If your aim is good, you can just launch them quickly and take them out. My wingman is probably confused to see me just blast off and nearly collide with a building, then bomb it and fly off in the distance, leaving him to deal with the dogfighting and anti-air guns. But hey, I'm paid to get results and I deliver. Now we can move around the map and choose which mission to do next from a selection, which will then lead to other missions we can do. So for this mission, we have to bomb some oil rigs in the desert. Weird considering the guy briefing us sounds British and not American.
Refinery plant and oil field. Use the pipeline as a reference to the refinery. Located, destroyed.
So the game uses its low draw distance pretty cleverly here by having you follow these pipelines to the other stations. You'll need to keep an eye out on your fuel. If you take too long in a mission, you will run out of fuel and fail. I remember where the stations are, so I'm able to rush through this, but first time playing, you'll need to stick to the pipelines which trail off and lead you all around the map. I tried to play chicken with one of the planes and lost, nearly getting shot down in the process, so I had to spend the rest of the mission carefully avoiding anti-air and skirting off other planes. But I found all the stations, blown to hell, and it is mission accomplished. Mission 6 has you taking out multiple targets over long distances, heavy anti-air, and stealth fighters. Stealth fighters don't show up on radar, meaning you have to spot them visually. Don't worry, you can still lock onto them through missiles. I ended up crashing my first plane for reasons I can't remember. I think my controller disconnected when I was trying to aim and I ended up nosediving into the ground. Luckily, I was trying out my MiG at the time, so I still have my F-15. I knew the target's pretty easy, but not knowing how to switch targets bites me in the ass because I end up flying low near anti-air guns that shoot me up. I nearly got shot down at the end, but managed to take out the last target before that could happen. So now we have 3 different missions to choose from, and completing them will unlock different sets of missions. As I stated before, we have to do all of them, but we have a lot of options for what order we want to do so. So if you have trouble with a mission, you have plenty of other choices to pick from, and we'll continue to unlock more missions and planes from doing so. Mission 7 is the first type of mission that later becomes a series staple, flying through ravines and tunnels. Because of heavy anti-air defenses, flying above is a no-go, so we have to maneuver through the ravine. The mission itself tests our piloting skills. I was an idiot and took the F4, so in case I crashed I wouldn't lose a good plane. But the F4 doesn't let me control my throttle and has poor handling. That makes this mission much more difficult. I could pretend like I made it harder myself and still cleared the mission regardless, but I'm just stupid and makes things needlessly difficult to myself because of it. So this mission isn't too bad. Some tricky tight corners here and there. These helicopters will shoot missiles at you if you're too slow, so you need to keep up your speed, but you can lock on and shoot them down faster than they can fire at you. This is where third person view comes in handy because you can see how close your plane is to the walls, allowing you to make turns easier. After getting through, you just need to remember to shoot down the satellite and you're golden. Easy enough, but these missions get more complex and difficult throughout the series. Mission 8 is one of the more difficult missions. So it seems simple enough to start, just blow up some planes and destroy a base. Starting off playing chicken with the planes goes well, but then we come to the real issue of the mission. The base. The base is surrounded by these rock formations with entry only possible through 3 tight entrances or from above. Above is fitted with anti-air weapons along with some skilled pilots and decent planes, meaning you'll have to deal with dogfighting and anti-air while trying to hit targets. I decided to take the lower path. It's much safer, but the issue is the tight turning you have to do to get a lock on targets and then quickly line yourself up to pass after to get out. I was able to take out on targets in 2 goes, but almost threw myself into a wall when I got greedy during the first run. Mission 9 introduces us to naval vessels. Warships have heavy anti-air defenses and require you to get in their range of fire to land an attack. We have to bomb the port of this island, taking out their refineries and warships. Dogfights have started to actually become challenging. These MiGs are fast and can make some tight turns. Slowing down your throttle helps making sharper turns. Dogfights can get difficult even with this knowledge because planes will constantly outmaneuver you. You end up slowing down so much that you'll end up stalling and that can leave you open for an attack when dealing with multiple planes. These guys aren't that hard, however. Once we get behind them, they can be shot down easily. So the island itself has anti-air, and one of the targets inside this ravine that you will have to fly through to hit while crossing to the other side of the port. I almost crashed to the ground trying to lock onto one of the targets, but managed to pull up in time. I run into 2 more fighter jets barreling towards me and decided to play another game of chicken, but my misses only ended up taking one out and I ended up having a head-on collision with the other. Luckily, a high-speed head-on collision only causes light damage to our plane. After taking care of the other jet, I mop up the other ground targets and head for the warship. I ended up getting nearly blown to hell because I thought I could outmaneuver the missile the warship fired, but ended up taking heavy damage and had to play it safe while taking out the rest of the ship. This would have been much easier if I knew how to switch targets, but once again my stupidity causes things to be difficult. Mission 10 requires you to escort a cargo plane and defend it from enemy attack. This sounds like it would be annoying or difficult, but honestly it's just another mission where you need to shoot down the enemies. You don't even need to be near the cargo plane. I never failed a mission for flying ahead, so I just ignored the warning and flew ahead to shoot down the enemy planes and completed the mission without issue. Completing this mission unlocked what is probably the best plane in the game, the Su-27. It has high stats in everything but defense and stability, where it has average stats. It's also one of the only planes you can buy twice, so they knew it was good. I also bought a YF, I mean a YF-20 for a stealth fighter. I will talk more about the stealth fighter in a bit. Mission 11 has us defending the base we took over back in Mission 9. Stealth bombers are approaching and we have to take them all out before they reach the island. The real issue of this mission is taking out the bombers while dealing with all the escort fighters. Getting into dogfights with them could lead you pretty far off course. I nearly lost track of the bombers but was able to locate them with my map. So that last mission seemed pretty simple and easy, huh? Well, Mission 12 is personally, in my opinion, the hardest mission in the game. This mission requires you to take out 5 warships while dealing with fighter jets. And of course, because I am an idiot, I don't know how to switch targets, so I had to take these ships out the hard way. I decided to use the YF-23 Stealth Fighter here. Stealth fighters make it so the enemy is less likely to spot you from longer distances, making it easier for you to target objectives. They also have lower stats than other planes, making it so you have to decide if a stealth plane is even suited for the mission. You can still be spotted at close range, which I have to do in order to target the warships, so here we have to be careful. I tried to free aim some missiles to take out the ships faster and slow down to help my aim, but ended up taking a missile because I couldn't break off fast enough. Oh, and this didn't just happen once, it happened twice, so I can't take any more damage without downing the plane. I decided to take my time and take out all the fighter jets in the area in order to avoid any headaches while taking out the last ship. I play it very safe with the last ship, doing hit and runs at top speed and not even risking slowing down. This pays off because I finished the mission without taking any more damage. This time the mission went pretty well, but the first time I played this game, I lost like 4 planes here and had to save this mission for last. Mission 13 is simple. We just fly upriver and recon the area, taking out any supplies or patrols we encounter, which I think is actually the opposite of recon? Yeah, after looking it up, aerial reconnaissance tends to just be checking weather conditions, the lay of the land, notable structures, and enemy movement. Or at least they were until this guy happened. But I don't have time to get into that. I'm here to discuss video games, not minor historical figures, as unfortunate as I know that is to some of you watching. So they're literally just sending me into enemy territory and having me shoot down and take out anything I find without any backup or intel. I can think of only 2 reasons for why they're doing this. Reason 1 is that they're running low on funds and are sending me on more dangerous high-stakes missions in hopes that I get killed so they won't have to pay me. I am a mercenary after all. And if I do succeed, I manage to not only gather intelligence on the enemy forces, but also cripple them. I've never served in the military, but from what I've read and heard, this kind of tactic seems extremely plausible. I have been inclined to believe Intelligence Officer is an ironic title. Reason 2 is that they have seen what I can do and just think I'm the best damn pilot in the world and can deal with anything, which I prove right. Ace Combat doesn't start getting really plot heavy until later games, so I'm just gonna go for the latter. Despite getting caught in a surprise 4-plane dogfight, or would it be 5-plane dogfight including me? Oh, it doesn't matter now. Despite getting caught in a dogfight with a stealth fighter, I managed to take out everything and finish the mission. So for mission 14, we were back in the desert taking out some refineries. A lot of skilled enemy planes in the area, along with a lot of targets in anti-air. Honestly, the biggest problem with this mission is probably going to be your missile count. You have a limited number, and if you get caught in dogfights and miss a little too much, you won't have enough to take out the remaining targets. You could try to take them out with your guns, but bullets do very low damage in this game, and you'll probably end up crashing into the target before you take it out. I decided to bring a wingman and have him take out aircrafts on his own to keep the enemy distracted while I focus on targets. Honestly, at this point of the game, we have pretty much figured out how to handle the AI, and the game doesn't have many more tricks to pull. We unlocked the second SU-27 and are pretty much set on playing for the rest of the game unless we crash all of them. So the game is basically throwing all it can at us now. We have to take out some bridges, then a base, all of which is defended by skilled pilots and anti-air missile launchers. The same tactics still work, play chicken with the oncoming planes, blast off, and rush for the objectives. Then some high-speed turns to let us avoid missiles and line up for taking out the targets. This mission took me around 3 minutes to complete. So I said that stealth planes had bad stats. Well, one exception to that is the F-22, which is great at everything except offense. And missiles seem to do the same damage on all planes, so I don't even know if that is an issue. Mission 16 is the penultimate mission. We just have to fly through a ravine and get to the end. The only real notable difference from the previous ravine mission is now we have to fly through tunnels. We already couldn't fly up before, and still can, so now we can't fly up even less, I guess? Third-person view and an agile plane are all you need to finish this mission without issue. Mission 17, the final mission. An unknown air fortress has been discovered and we have to take it out. This mission is an actual challenge. First time I played this game, I ran out of missiles, fuel, got shot down, and crashed into the mothership. The mothership is loaded with anti-air guns, skilled pilots keep hounding you, and there are a million targets on the ship. I sent out a wingman to distract the plane so I can focus on the mothership. Because I was stupid, I didn't switch targets and had to do this stupid fiddling with the camera you see here to target parts of the ship I wanted. The gimmick with the mothership is that you have to take out its engines first. They take a lot of hits and the anti-air won't let you stay close for long. After taking all the engines out, you can target the mothership directly. It takes some damage, but the anti-air has more trouble targeting you directly above it. After taking it out, we get congratulated by our employer.
Congratulations. The enemy has capitulated and the coup has failed. The rightful government has been restored to this peaceful country. Your skill as top guns changed the balance. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you.
Then we get treated to an F&B cutscene and credits. The credits have weird nicknames in them. I believe this is right on the end of Japanese games using fake credit names in order to keep rival companies from poaching talent. As you can imagine, as video games got bigger, that shit didn't fly. So this game properly credits the creators of the game with their full names and nicknames. For a PlayStation 1 launch title, this game was a pretty solid and enjoyable combat flight simulator. But the series was far from over. Ace Combat would grow to have 7 mainline games, the latest one releasing in 2019, and a new one announced as I was making this video. I already have footage for the other 2 PS1 Ace Combat games recorded and plan to release videos on them, as soon as I enjoy myself a little. I've kind of been working on this for a month and doing nothing else, and at this point I want my life back, temporarily at least. So thanks for watching, and look forward to that next video soonish.